Hi everyone, it's Thursday night, 9 o'clock time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Here, my name is Brent Graham, of course, your host on the show powered by goodforthegame.co.za. And what a show we have again tonight. We had a marathon show last week. We had Alex and the conductor in. And Alex, I know he's going to be watching the show tonight. He had a few plans that he couldn't actually come on as a guest. But we do have the conductor back right at the bottom there. The conductor, good to have you back on the show, man. What an absolute marathon last week. How did you do on the punting front?
Yeah, Brent, it was a bit of a long one last week. It went all right. Bit of an up and down weekend for me. Luckily, sevens really made my big profit for me. And then I had a couple of really good bets on the Sunday afternoon with Cardiff coming in and London Irish doing the business for me as well. So that was to me a very productive afternoon, on Sunday. But I came out above. It's always tricky with so many games. You try and handpick ones which you like. And if those don't work out, sometimes you sort of end up going into games that you didn't really plan for. And that can either spell disaster or be a masterstroke. So, it went all right. Like I said, I ended up with a tidy little profit. So, this weekend, I foresee it to be better than last weekend for certain reasons. But we'll get into that a bit later.
Excellent. Well, we're going to welcome at the Crow Tips Chris Rowe now, who has been in cracking form the last couple of months. I know he had a couple of ones just go against him last week with his betting style there of taking sort of doubles and trebles at between even money and 2-1. But Chris, confident about this weekend?
Yeah. The card looks a bit better for me this weekend. Not all of them, but a few good games, for sure. So, looking forward to it, yeah.
Excellent. Well, looking forward to getting stuck into the game. Just a reminder, you can go to goodforthegame.co.za for our betting previews and also subscribe to our best bet. That's down in the description box below. I can't remember what last week's best bet was, but as I recall, it didn't go particularly well. I could have been, I didn't hit last week's bet. It was the Bulls who went down to Leinster. And in fact, just welcome to the boys in the live chat. Mark was first on. He came in even before the show to say, who would have thought Leinster would beat the spread? There was loads of money on the Bulls last week, but yes, Leinster certainly did it. And just having a look who else we've already got on. How's it to Kevin? Cathal, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm suspecting it's wrong. But yeah, you're 100% right there. Leinster on their day can rip anyone apart. I thought they were absolutely superb. And I wouldn't say that we must read too much into that. We'll talk a little bit more about the Bulls a little bit later in the show. But gents, I want to start with the Rugby Championship. We're in the final round of Rugby Championship action. New Zealand, of course, have wrapped things up well and truly. But let's get into the first game. Argentina against Australia. Conductor, I'm going to start with you. This handicap was set at around the 13.5 point mark. And then news broke this morning around about 6 o'clock South African time that a few of the Argentines had bust curfew. They'd sort of gone against COVID protocols and they wouldn't play. And immediately the cap leapt up to 15.5. And I don't know, I haven't looked around, but I'm at player bets here and I see 16.5 now. So the question is it big enough now? Or do you start considering the plus or can we still fire the Aussie minus there?
Brent, it's really tough to consider the plus for Argentina at the moment. They haven't really shown anything in the last couple of weeks to say, listen, it warrants it. They've been, to me, incredibly poor from the side that beat New Zealand last year. I don't know what's occurred. Maybe it's just their lack of playing games. I don't know. There's something that's not right there. We haven't seen such a poor Argentina side for quite a while. Like you say, I think it was 5 or 6 players. Three of the guys that played last week are out. So Sino, Medrano, and Matera. He's a big loss for Argentina, being their captain and Mr. Passion. As long as he stays off Twitter, he's reliable. But it's a big loss for Argentina. I think the momentum's with the Aussies at the moment. It's tough to see them holding this cap. So I'd probably look at the minus here. I initially wanted to take the over 32.5 for Aussie, but I had a look at that, and Aussie don't generally reach over that mark. But I have to question: are Argentina really on that plane home? I mean, they spent how many months in bar bubbles? I can't think they're really going to be. Their minds are going to be in this game. I think they are really on the plane back to Argentina for me. So I was going to look at over 32.5. My preference at this point would rather be the minus 16.5 or take Argentina unders. They've just really, really struggled to score. And I think the Aussie crowd will get the guys G'd up for this game and last game. So I think Aussies will want to show a bit of flair. So those two my bets are RG unders. And then I like to take Jordan Pataya anytime try scorer. I haven't seen the price yet, but I'll take it when I can find it.
Excellent. Yeah, I like that thinking as well. I did the good for the game preview. I went over 32.5. I must say the line I'd rather be looking out for there is Australia tries. Last week it was over 3.5 tries at 8 to 10. I had a big go at that. I must say, unfortunately, they only scored 3 tries. They managed to butcher. They had 2 in the first 20 minutes, and they only scored 1 after that. But I got a feeling they'll hit the 4-try mark, although I think the spread this week is going to be 4.5 tries on Australia. And the reason I say that is they don't really go for posts. Certainly last week from the start, they were kicking for the corner. So if you can get a tries bet rather than a points bet, it might be the way to go there for Australia. But let's see what At the Crow Tips thinks of this one. Chris, what are you going to do here?
I'm on the same lines as you guys. I agree. I don't know where Argentina are. They made the discipline has just gone off the boil. I was sitting the way my weekend went last week, and I was sitting on over Argentina 8.5 points. It was 8 points 50 after 50 meters, and Kramer had a brain fart for the rest of the half and in front of the poles and reverse penalties. They're off the boil. Like I say, I agree with Brent. Their discipline's not there. It showed after the game, during the game, and after the game with the protocols. They're not in this competition anymore. They don't seem to be given that effort. So there's no way that I'll be back in Argentina in any way, even on the plus. I would have if I had seen something different, because Argentina, if their discipline was good, they were in the game. The second half, they were building momentum. They were coming back. They could have got another rumble of a try or two and brought that game closer. But Australia, for me, trained in ways, Oz are trending up and Oz seem to be trending down. It's in Queensland, right? Brisbane again, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's at the Seabus Stadium in the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I thought it was if it was at Suncorp, it's their fortress. There was no chance. But I still don't think there's no chance for RGs anyway. So yeah, I'm on the same with you. Points line is a bit high. I agree. They don't score a lot of points. I would have also looked at the try. So I'll be looking at that as well. And this is a great game for one of my doubles and trebles. I'll be teasing those points in one direction, probably to make a double out of that game with the points.
Brent, just
to catch that on Twitter. Yes, sorry.
Just from my side, obviously the thing is, it's obviously what's an afternoon kickoff in Australia. I checked the conditions. The conditions should be good, so low humidity. But I saw an interesting stat today. All 8 of Australia's games this year, have finished under the handicap points line, total points line. So, and I think Australia might score a couple, but I don't know how much Argentina are going to contribute. So I saw the line is 50.5, and it is tempting to take the unders there, because I can see Aussie scoring maybe 35. I can't see Argentina scoring more than 15. So the 50.5 is tempting for the unders there.
I thought that there was a high-scoring game in the Rugby Champs early on between New Zealand and Australia, where the line was 54.5 and it ended in the 60s. I have to just check that. But I hear what you're saying there.
It could be. I said that. It was stat I read. I'm not too sure, but that's just what I saw.
Was it Sean Nicholas on Twitter or something with that stat?
He's obviously trying to get the money moving the other way on the unders. So
no, that's fine. But I agree with you. I mean, Aussies have been, the games haven't been particularly high scoring, I must say. But I'm looking here and I'm thinking, I like Australia tries, but I do think they're going to beat the handicap. I looked at Argentina's results. I think they've only beaten one handicap, and that was when they lost by 23 points to New Zealand. And that was actually beating the handicap, which was 26.5 in that game. I think they're absolutely woeful, and I think Australia are the team here. But I do, me, when there's a choice between a handicap and an overs points or an overs tries, I always tend to lean towards the overs points or overs tries here. Chris, anything else on this one before we move on to the next game?
Just to confirm that, like I'm saying, I'm trying to rack my head here to make the case for Argentina. I just can't. I just think this is the team with Karevi now and Ikatawa's form, and this is an opportunity for Australia to put a big win in, and I actually think they're going to do it. I'm quietly optimistic about that. So I think this is their best chance that they're going to put a 30-plus game in.
Right, Johan coming in, Australia overs, and Dave Cooney rubber stamping that over 32.5. I just want to see Dave. Good to see him coming in live there on Facebook. I'd just like to say to Dave, happy anniversary, because on the 6th of October 2020, Dave sent me a cap from Ireland. And he used the South African Postal Service. So he sent it to the South African Post Office. And it's coming up for the 6th of October, and my cap still hasn't arrived yet. So it's been a year anniversary for Dave and myself. Well done to the South African Post Office. One day that cap is going to appear out the blue, I can tell you. So, Yeah, unbelievable. We're into 1 year and I still haven't received the cap yet.
You'll see the cap when you walk past the oak wearing it, Brent.
Probably working in the post office.
Yeah.
It's Dave shopping out in Knobs and Knockers, I think it's called. So yeah, Dave, hopefully the cap will arrive at some point. Let's move on to the next game. South Africa up against New Zealand. This is interesting. The cap's been pretty stable each week, depending where you shop. You can get -9.5 for All Blacks or +10.5 South Africa. Last week, of course, South Africa going down at the end by those 2 points. Plenty of talk on social media and on all the rugby platforms about how much South Africa kicked. And Chris, I'm going to start with you here. We've got a points line of 46.5 and a handicap of 9.5 or 10.5. Which way are you heading?
So I know I'm going to be against the grain here, I think, but I'm in the book camp for this week, and I'm going to give you my reasons why. I think we have kept New Zealand close last 5 games. We do keep them close. We do rattle them. Our pattern does not make them comfortable. I think we got more to prove than them. I think this is a dead rubber. Yeah, they might want to win all 5, but I don't think New Zealand will be overly. I don't think they're that motivated for that particularly, but I think we got more to prove. I look at the games. If Pollard was on form, we won against Australia. We could have won against New Zealand. We could have actually won 2 out of the 3 and not lost 3. I think if you look at form, I don't think we're far behind New Zealand at all. And it's the last game. I just think we will give it all, and I think we'll keep them close. I don't know if we will win. I think we might win, but we'll keep it close. And I would bet on the plus, but I'm not saying I'm taking that plus again. It's another game that suits my type of bets, and I'll be looking at some teasing points again. But I call it a close game. I don't think New Zealand are going to run away with it.
What do you think of the points line there, 46.5?
That's too good. It's too spot on. If anything, I would be overs. I think it might be a more open game, but I think that's pretty spot on line there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a chance, as you said, dead rubber. But I just get the feeling this test is not going to be played like a dead rubber, Brendan. To me, there was a lot of bitterness after last week's test. I think New Zealand came out of that test match. They took a bit of criticism for making a lot of mistakes. Yes, they got the W at the end of the day. And there was plenty of criticism of the box as well, and the fact is, ultimately the box beat the handicap quite carefully, and they very nearly pulled off the game. But I want to tell you that I'm on New Zealand now. And Chris, first of all, let me say to you, I thought you would be against the grain as well. But I know a lot of hardened punters, the likes of Thoughts of Sports and Henrik, also like the Springboks on the plus here. But Brendan, I'm in the other camp. I like New Zealand on the minus. And my reasoning is very much that I do believe, New Zealand played pretty badly last week. Yes, we forced them into a lot of mistakes, but I'm expecting some improvement from them. But I'm also looking at it and going, gee whiz, this is the 4th consecutive very hard test match for South Africa. They've been in the bubble since basically before the Lions tour. There must be some pretty tired guys there. And I can see the box flagging at some point in this game and New Zealand kicking clear and winning it. So you're going to have to be the decider here.
Thanks.
I like that laugh, Chris.
the Venezuelan judge in the corner trying to separate you two. No, Brent, for me, I'm not going to touch this game with a barge pole, to be quite honest. I mean, this game can be played without my money. The margins are too fine in international rugby. Now, what Chris says is 100% correct, and what you're saying is also 100% correct, Brent. We did disrupt them quite badly. I mean, the amount of mistakes they made in the air last week was, I haven't seen a New Zealand side make so many mistakes in that game. I don't think it's a dead rubber. Between New Zealand and South Africa, there'll never be a dead rubber. There's just too much history and emotion riding on the game. And, New Zealand playing for the badge, and as well as South Africa, like you say, we've been in a bar bubble for many, many weeks. How much do we have left in the tank? To me, the words that we used when I was at my mate's house Saturday morning to describe the box can't be repeated in good company. Just what we did. I actually thought to myself, I wouldn't have been surprised if we were on their 5-meter line and decided to box kick it. I mean, it just became so robotic and automatic. It just became unpleasant to watch. But that aside, my concern is Will Jordan and George Bridge out, Severis and Ricky Ioane in. And I think in a situation where they don't drop the ball from one of those high kicks and manage to sort of shift it wide quickly, you get 1 or 2 quick tries. I was thinking today, just driving the car, they get 1 or 2 quick tries. We don't have a game plan to catch them. We have a game plan to hold them close and nuggety. If they go 13, 14 points up, we just don't have the mindset to try. We might be able to do it, but we just haven't practiced it. We haven't played it. So we might be able to do it, but I'd maybe say 5 to 10% possibility. If they're 12-0 up, I'd go on the minus. We won't catch them.
Yeah, Brad saying he's filled his boots there on the minus. And if I think back to last week, we had the early try from Will Jordan, and I think most people at that point, I was on New Zealand overs. I was pretty confident, try after like 3 minutes. But at that point, you got the feeling even then that New Zealand, are they going to stretch clear and win this easily? And then, of course, there was the mistake by Bridge and the try by South Africa off a kick, ironically. But, that got the Boks back into it. But I've always felt that about the Boks against a side like New Zealand, exactly that, Brendan. I think they'll struggle to chase the game. Because you don't chase a game box kicking. You at some point you also don't defend a 2-point lead by box kicking all the time. We discovered that last week as well. But so I'm with you there. But I'm very much with Brad. Brad, I think you posted it on the forum earlier in the week as well. The -9. I'm solidly on it with you. I'll be sitting in a pub in Dickalolo just outside of Brits. I'm going to be with hardened South African guys. So I'm going to have to be very careful about how I shout the All Blacks home. But shout them home I will. And I was just telling Brendan, many years ago, I bought the entire pub around the Briggs. I had such a big win. Well, this time, if the type of stakes I'm betting, if I win, I might buy a 6-pack of beers to spread around for the guys. But Chris, anything else for you on this one?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate why I'm not on that side. It's just because I was looking at some stats. I mean, again, if I say if Pollock gets his kicking stats to where they should be and he gets his attitude right, and our tackling stats go back to where it was against the Lions in the first 2 tests of the series, it's a 10-12% difference in our tackling rates. I mean, for me, those are the margins that can bring this closer or push us over the line. And when I say dead rubber, I don't mean a dead rubber. I think if I think back to when Australia's beaten New Zealand, maybe even us, it's been the game that hasn't mattered in the competition. And for me, this is the moment that we can get New Zealand just a little bit off their game, if they're going to be, of course. But I'm just going back on a few years when they have been beaten, it's when there isn't something to hold up at the end of the game,
No, fair enough. I do take your point, and it could go either way. I also felt that maybe South Africa had one big game left in them, and I almost felt that was last week. Handicap's well set.
Then I'm going to be, should have known that, right?
Handicap's well set. When you get so much divided opinion on it, then you can say the cap's well set. Anyway, let's move on, gents, to the United Rugby Championship, because plenty of games to talk about there, and I'll get straight into it with the conductor. On Friday night, we got Connacht Rugby up against the Blue Bulls. The Bulls taking an absolute hammering last week at the hands of Leinster. Leinster thoroughly professional. Gee whiz, I love that Leinster side. Well, I didn't love them last week because I was on the Bulls as my best bet on the handicap, and that didn't arrive. But a great performance from them. But here we got Connacht -3.5 point favourites. We've got a 40.5 points line, so just over 40 points for the points line, which tells me that it's obviously raining cats and dogs there, Brendan.
Yeah, Brent. So I've been chomping at the bit for this exact scenario. Whenever I chat to my mates, they don't obviously watch Pro 14 much. I just say, no, I'm like so excited to play up north, and we play Leinster and Munster and the great clubs, and I mean, it was a showpiece last week. It was good conditions versus Leinster and the Bulls, and similarly good conditions for the Sharks versus Munster. But what these guys don't actually watch is that game in Galway where you climb off the bus. It's flipping freezing cold. It is blowing a gale that can only be described as the perfect storm, with George Clooney riding his boat up into the waves there. So unfortunately, it's not going to be as bad as that tomorrow night. Unfortunately, I would have wished for worse conditions. It will be quite breezy, and it will be a little bit wet. I think they've had quite a bit of rain in Galway this past week. I saw a couple of the Irish guys on Twitter saying, look, it's not so bad, but for them, not so bad might be quite bad for us. It definitely is going to be windy. High 34, 35 knots, but a bit of rain, that kind of thing. So I've taken a bit of Bulls +3.5. I think there's been a bit of overreaction to the Leinster game. I think the Bulls sailed into such a tough game there. I mean, you're playing against pretty much an international Irish side at home, first game up, big crowd. The Bulls had chances on attack that just couldn't execute. I've taken a bit of Bulls +3. Not that's my main bet. I'll wait for kickoff. What I like to do with the Galway games for Connacht is see which team has the wind in the first half, back that team for the first half, draw no bets, and then similarly, depending on the wind strength, because generally the wind blows from poles to poles, not sideways, but obviously from length to length. So generally one team will have the wind with them. and it's incredibly difficult to play against the wind in Connacht, in Galway. So I'll back the team that first half, and then similarly in the second half. I think what we could see with this wind is 50-22s. I think this is going to be a massive thing now, because literally you can sit back in your own 22 and just smoke the leather off it, and actually potentially get a 22 in the other half with a big win behind you. I like the Bulls side that he's named. Gerson does know European conditions, and I like Combrink at 15 rather than Creel. For me, far more experienced 15. He'll know different scenarios, that kind of thing. For me, it's a strong Bulls side. I like that mixture of Lowe, Kutsia, and Arnubuerta. I think they should be able to hold Connacht. Connacht will know the conditions. I mean, it's like a club pro. You walk into a golf course. The Oak knows each hole, each break, kind of thing. That's the only thing that worries me with Connacht. They'll know the conditions there. But my main strategy will be to those halftime bets with the wind.
Now, when a guy already knows which wind direction it's going to be blowing on the day from pole to pole, then you know he's looking forward to the game. I can see you champing at the bit for that one. Mark confirming that it's windy, and also saying he doesn't know if the Bulls realise just how windy it's going to be. Chris, let's go on to you for this game. Any fancies there?
Yeah, no, keep it short. No, not really. I'm not. For me, Bulls should be a 7-point better team than Connacht any day of the week. But Bulls are not going to know what they've run into tomorrow, and that's going to be and the wind will ruin the game of rugby in general. So I'm not getting involved in any points and handicaps. But it smells like a definite hooker try match. So I'll look at some hooker markets if I get involved. I'm sure there'll be a rumble too with the wind there. The hookers will get a few chances to go over. So that will be my plays. I'm not looking at anything else because this could be anything. But Bulls should win this game, but I'm not calling that.
Well, I must say, I'm saying that wind will ruin the game. I'm pleased Henrik wasn't on the show. He might have taken quite a bit of offence. The man loves nothing more than a scrappy unders affair there. Let's stay with you, Chris, for the next game. There's been some money here. Scarlets, I think, opened up minus 14.5 against the Lions. And that's come in quite considerably now. I've had a quick look around. We've got minus 9.5 Scarlets and minus 10.5. Is the money spot on here? I believe, according to Southpaw and the Good for the Game Forum, Scarlets haven't named the strongest side.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think Lions are in this game. Not sure they will win it, but I think they could give Scarlets a run for their money. Again, I don't know. I think the weather's probably might be similar to Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. But that handicap was too high. It's coming in right now. I agree. Plus 14, I didn't get, unfortunately, but that's about right. But I also saw the Lions points lines around 20, and I love that because Lions can't defend and they can't manage a game for their lives, but they can score points, and I think they can score against the Scarlets. So I would look for the pitches coming through there, and if I see some decentish conditions there, I might even go in for the Lions points there. I quite like that bet a lot, actually.
Right, I'll have a quick look for you there. We've got 50.5 points is the total line, and I'll just confirm here. Lions points, total points is 19.5 overall under, and 30.5 the Scarlets there. So there could be some potential there. Mad Dog Odds coming in and saying 8 hooker tries in the opening weekend of United Rugby Championship. That's why Couch Critic loves the United Rugby Championship. I can tell he absolutely loves these hooker tries. But Brendan, what do you think of this one? There's a lot of money here for the Lions.
Brent, I'm all over Scarlets here. I'm going to be going huge on minus 9.5. I can't have the Lions team. I can't have a guy like Jakob Asaki. There's just too many rabbits in that team for me. The reason why I'll be going Scarlets minus 9.5, it's been raining, it's been pelting down in Llanelli all week. The pitch obviously won't be. They predict good weather for tomorrow night, but it should be quite greasy and things like that, which won't suit the Lions. They played a zebra team that forgot to rock up in the first half. They realised only had to come. Their mom was still cooking them pasta, and then they only finished the ravioli by the 40-minute mark, and then decided to come run onto the field because, holy moly, the Lions almost lost that game from 38-0 up. It looked like if the zebra team had 10 more minutes, it would have been a foregone conclusion. I
was on over 26.5 zebra points there. I mean, at halftime, I actually pressed. I went over 13.5 at halftime. I thought surely they can get something. After 60 minutes, I'd won both bets. It was one of those, unlikely starts to the weekend for me.
For me, I don't know if it was. I was reading the comments from the Lions guys. They said they were lackadaisical. I don't think it was lackadaisical. I think they were just unfit. They basically just didn't. There was literally no effort that second half. And I look, Scarlets. it's not the Scarlets of old where the guys are pushing for titles in Europe and stuff like that. But there's still enough experience that side. Scott Williams come back. He's a Welsh centre. Him and Jonathan Davies, really good pairing there at centre. They'll know how to play those conditions. Youngish fly off, number 10, young guy, capped for under 20 Wales, but in front of their home crowd in those conditions. I just thought that the Lions had really good conditions in Italy with they put chips through with Maxwani running well, and I just think the conditions will be a bit rubbish in Italy for them, and it's gonna be cold and rainy, and I think I just can't see Scarlets not covering this cap. I love -9.5. I was looking for the -6.5 earlier in the week, and when it opened at 14, I wasn't interested. But now I'm like, I'm keen as mustard.
Well, Brady joining us there in the live chat as well, saying waiting for Scarlet's bonus point, try to be out and he'll fire. So also liking the Scarlets there. And I must admit, I was quite impressed with the Lions last week. But after watching them in the Curry Cup and that, I struggled to back that side for a while. They're going to have to do a lot more to prove themselves to me there. Brendan, we'll stay with you for the next game. Benetton up against Edinburgh. And here we've got a virtual choice game. In fact, Edinburgh shading favouritism here at about the 8 to 10 mark. So call them a half a point favourite for this one.
Really nothing for me there. I have got no bet there. Edinburgh with, I think, a new coach, and Benetton, heaps of internationals at home. I like that. Like I said last week, that Argentinian fly-off Albinos they got from the Jaguares. He played well against the Stormers. For me, Benetton should take this game, but it's tough to trust Italian sides. I think Edinburgh are more grizzled European side, so I'm not touching that game. Maybe there's an in-play opportunity, but nothing for me up front.
Right, Gareth suggesting on the Lions game, just going back, that he's on the +14, but getting a bit worried. He might take the -9 and sort of trade out a bit, perhaps go for a middle. And yes, Gareth, I mean, it's very true. I mean, I always say I'm pretty good at picking the handicaps that are going to move. I'm just not good at picking the handicaps that are going to win.
Sorry, I just saw at one point. Sorry, there was 50% of my reasoning why I like the Scarlets. It's Andre Piardi, the Italian referee in that game, and he's very, very technical. He loves to blow the whistle. The Scarlets will be definitely far more aware of the way he's going to blow rather than the Lions, who might commit more infringements. So that's why I like Scarlets. The refereeing side of Piardi can be very, very technical, and I don't think the Lions will be used to that.
Yeah, impressive that you even know that referee there, Brendan. Steve Reed, big Lions fan, joining us there from Facebook. Lions are dog shit. The Taps will murder them. So very much in your camp there as well on that one. Chris, anything for you on the Benetton game?
No way.
Okay. Now we've got plenty of games. So no problem if you don't have a bet on all of them. The next one though, Chris, I'll stick with you. Does involve the South African side. It's the Sharks. They're playing against the Glasgow Warriors, and here we've got a handicap of -8.5 points. The Warriors.
Yeah, I've been looking at this game, and I am also struggling with it. I do want to get involved in it, but I'm not sure. And I'm going to wait closer to the game. But I mean, I just like I'm saying with the Lions, and I'm saying that that prediction of the Lions is in good conditions. If it is going to be greasy and rainy and all the things Brendan said, then sure, Scarlets win by 15, fine. And I actually battling to have a view on the South African teams this round after what happened last week. I have other games I'm looking at, but the South African teams I just don't know what to make of them really. Again, like in my mind, I'm thinking that Sharks are much better than that cap, but I need to be proven now, and so I might have to watch a few more games if I'm confident on South African games.
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit there. I find I'm sort of going to have to settle into this rugby championship. Certainly enjoying it, but nothing confident, nothing that confident for me though. But one man I can tell you is coming out firing tonight with plenty of confidence is the Conductor. And Conductor, what do you think of this one?
Brent, I'll wait for Glasgow points in this game. It's going to be pelting by the sounds of it. It's going to be pelting in Glasgow, and I'm hoping the bookies will give a line of about 40.5, and that means Glasgow. What is it? It's going to be about 20. Sure, but I'm trying to think now. What's the line is 8.
What's the line? 8.5. Test out. So it'll be about
20, 25, maybe. I'm sorry. I was just trying to mention
25-17, somewhere around there. 25.
Look, it's going to be pelting down, and Glasgow
there.
don't feel the rain. And like Brady says, it's a 4G pitch, which the Sharks wouldn't have played upon, wouldn't have known. I mean, I've seen Glasgow games there where they've scored heaps of points in pelting rain. So that team, it's not a factor, and they know how to play in that rain. So I'll take Glasgow points over there. They love a high tempo game there in front of their home crowd, or whoever's going to be watching there in the downpour. There's like 8 mils of rain, I think, during the period of the game. So it's going to be bucketing. But the Glaswegians, they know how to play in that sort of conditions. To me, they played a very positive game last week. I think the Sharks are going to be in for a tough one. Different pitch. And Ben Whitehouse, the referee, they don't call him Ben Sharthouse for nothing. He can make some horrible calls again. So I don't know, the Sharks, because Sharks really, they couldn't adapt to the referee last week. Craig Evans pinged them at multiple rucks. I mean, repeatedly. And I mean, Sean Everett's like, we couldn't adapt to the refereeing style. It's like, mate, you've had how many weeks to prepare for this style? I mean, surely you should understand that they're going to ping you for silly things at the ruck. The other thing is Sharks have picked Gabrand Grobler at loose and on the loose Lucy. I have no idea what you're doing, dude. You're playing on a 4G pitch. Why would you not pick James Fenter, who's far more mobile, far quicker, and far stronger to the ball? You're picking a guy who's slow in what's going to be fast conditions. I know they think it's going to be wet, but it's not going to be wet because it's a 4G pitch. So I'm going to take Glasgow points, and that's it. It's still going to be afternoon, but I don't know. The Sharks' defense was pretty porous last week.
Yeah, I like that strategy of yours, the Glasgow points. I hear what you're saying about that 4G pitch as well. I've seen many a game where certainly if it was a grass pitch, you'd get absolutely torrid conditions. And I mean, the ball will still be slippery in that, but nothing like what you're going to get in grass conditions. So I like your Glasgow overs call, obviously depending on the line. We'll stay with you for the next one, conductor. Zebra up against ulster. Here we got quite a big handicap home team who were hell of a disappointing last week. Okay, yes, they improved in the second half against the Lions, but plus 14.5 against Ulster. Ulster, I think, were a bit disappointing last week as well.
Yeah. Brent, to me, this is a big minus for me. Ulster, I would say, are challenging to be on par with Leinster at the moment. A really good side, well coached. I can't see them being held to this handicap here. Zebra, like you say, we're disappointing, but they are technically perennial underperformers and sort of the basement battlers. Ulster, as I said, or I don't know if I said in last week's show, they play a very high tempo game. It's tough for me to see how Zebra are going to keep pace. It depends on the side they're going to pick here, but I think Ulster will be targeting 5 points. I know Dan McFarland says the priority for Ulster is to win this tournament. So when you're playing Zebra, and we've all played sports, and when you go away to the whipping boys, you make sure you come away with a bag of points and a good points difference as well. So this seems about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 points low for me on the cap.
Right, throw the kitchen sink at the minus. Nearly hit 60 last season in this fixture. Yeah, Ulster started to shape up as a very nice bet on the minus there. Let's see if Chris will give us the rubber stamp there.
Well, I think did I go? Am I back?
Oh, sorry, you're back. Yeah, you froze for a second there. I thought you were deep in thought for a second. Good to have you.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I was.
Good to have you back. I haven't seen you're the first guy on the show I've ever seen deep in thought, so it was quite an interesting view that. But what do you think of this one? Are we running Ulster minus?
I agree. Yeah, I agree on the minus. I also like Ulster are impressive, as conductor was saying. I don't think they're certainly going to let Zebra into the game like the Lions did. They're far too structured and disciplined. I think they'll give that. They're going to be too powerful. Yeah, they will. I think Ulster was small blood, and I think it'll end up being a comfortable victory. It could even be 20 points more.
Right. Well, Mark Dunphy saying conductor, no way Ulster on par with Leinster. And as I put that comment up, conductor left. I thought he had walked off the show like Piers Morgan there. Offended.
Done with this.
What's that, Chris?
I just going back to Glasgow. I think Brady put the points there. I think he put 24-16 those points lines. I'm not if I saw that. If it's 24 Glasgow points, then that's an over Glasgow play all day, I would say.
So you're in agreement with Brendan there.
I don't know what the points lines were, but if that is the points line, then Glasgow over 24 is a great
Yeah, I suspect that Brady was just because we were assuming that we're looking at 40.5. I don't think the points lines are out here, but he can perhaps confirm that. But I think it was more if it's 40.5, then it'll be 24.16.
Yeah, but if that is it, then that would be a great play.
For which game is this, Brent? For the Bulls
with
game?
The Glasgow Sharks game, I think it was.
Oh.
Yeah. But Brady's just confirming that he was just talking if it was 40.5, which is what we had suggested. Then that would be the split. So we've got to get the 40.5.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the thing is, I'd take 24.5 there all day long. The wind, with regards to points, the wind is a big factor. If it's raining, that's not in the world for the guys. I mean, they train, play, live, sleep in the rain all day, so it's not going to be much of a factor for them.
Yeah.
Well, let's stick with you, Chris, for the next game. It involves the South African side. We've got Munster up against the Stormers. And here we've got a big handicap. This is the biggest handicap of the weekend in the United Rugby Championship. Minus 23.5 the home team.
I can't do it. I'm not getting involved in South African high handicap again. I'm not. Stormers is my team. I'll be emotional about it. I've never been a big Munster fan. It's probably right, but I'm not getting involved. No way.
Right,
I'll watch it and cry. That's fine.
Let's see what Brendan reckons on this one. Munster against Stormers. And the handicap seems big, but I'm a little bit also a bit reluctant to steam in on the Stormers, Brendan.
No,
it could. The Munster could cover it easily. Stormers could cover it.
Yeah,
it's just too big for me to get involved. And it was disappointing. The Sharks the Sharks only scored by intercept tries last week, and they don't really be poor. Munster were pumped, and I don't know if they'll repeat that same performance this week. I haven't seen.
I got lucky on Sharks points. I can't remember when I backed it, but I think I might even have gone at halftime or something, and then they had the intercept try at some point, and then I must say they put a decent try, and I think their second try was quite well worked.
Yes,
I agree with you.
Yeah,
this is a tough one. So anyway, see if any of the boys in the live chat like anything now. But let's move on to the next game there, Conductor. Sticking with you, Ospreys up against Cardiff. This is a tight one. We've got Ospreys, the home team, sort of minus 1.5 levels here. So almost at a choice game.
Brent, let's look a bit of Ospreys early in the week on the board. Jared Evans missing for Cardiff, but still a very good side. Willis, Halo, Ray Lilo, Lord Williams, and a very decent couple of loosies for Cardiff. But Ospreys with Gareth Anscombe just seem to be a better side. They had a good game. They came back nicely against Dragons last week. I'm sure the crowd will be roaring in Swansea. So this is an absolute conundrum. I'm trying to punch the numbers here into the computer, and it just says no. Because we've got a Welsh derby, and it's the forecast is pissing rain, but you've got Maurice van der Westhuizen, the world's biggest overs.
I see your conundrum there.
So to me, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting because I think the Welsh guys are going to be scratching their heads with a couple of the Maurice classic decisions where he just sort of lets things go. He sort of doesn't mind the in from the side and the rucks and all this kind of jazz. So it does throw a spanner in the works in terms of actually forecasting the game. But the line is going to be interesting because Maurice just lets things go. Hey, so I don't know what to make of it. But I've got Ospreys on the board. I think at home with a crowd, they'll be pumped for this. It is a derby game or Welsh derby, so it's going to be close. I wouldn't be throwing my house on the game, but I do like Ospreys. They were very good last week.
I must say, what I'm looking forward to then on this game is the commentary, because the commentators are going to be amazed by Maurice, because as you say, they're not used to this, and I think we're going to get situations where both teams stop playing and look at the ref, and the ref goes play on.
You can see an absolute couple of head scratches from both sides, and questioning the decisions, and Maurice was saying just play on, play.
Yeah, and the TMO trying to come in, and Maurice saying no, it's fine, I'm happy. Great, looking forward to that. Chris, any thoughts on this game?
No, sorry, Brent, not on this game either. Welsh derby's not my thing either. But if I was going to make a call, I would go for the home side. Ospreys should win it, but not getting very heavily involved. Yeah.
Last game of the United Rugby Championship. We'll start with Chris. Dragons up against Leinster. Leinster, not surprising here, strong favourites, 18.5 away from home at the Dragons.
Yeah, I actually think that's a bit low. I think it might be a long day for the Dragons. And you know me, I'm not big on the big minus handicaps in general, but I think if I was to bet on a minus handicap, it would be this one. So, but yeah, I'm not sure whether I'll put that play that game as singles or to put the doubles in. If we want my double treble bets, but for me, minus 18 feels a bit low. I think it's going to be a long day for Newport.
Right.
These things play parts in these games, you know. Like, yeah, but that would be my feeling.
Now, Brennan Rodney Parade, Mark saying is a horrible pitch. Is that where this game's played? Is that the Dragons?
Yeah, Brent. So I just want to clarify my statements. I think guys misunderstood me. I said that Ulster are ambitious. They want to be like Leinster. They're not all.
They're not going. They aren't like Leinster.
I mean, how can you? But how can you be like Leinster when literally Jake White was like, the entire team we're playing against has been capped pretty much by Ireland. I mean. It's just yeah. I mean, it's literally the amount of talent it's in Dublin at the moment is ridiculous. So no, afternoon kickoff, Sunday afternoon, beautiful pitch in I forgot where it is. The Dragons, Rodney Parade in Newport. So beautiful pitch, absolutely pristine for that game for Dragons versus Ospreys. I mean. I can't believe this line. I mean, the Bulls have 6 internationals in their side, and they got pumped by Leinster. So, and that line was like 26, 27. What's 26, 25.5? This is minus 17.5. Perfect conditions. This is way too low. Sorry, I really don't understand this line. Leinster should cover this. It depends on the mood and who went to their play, obviously, but Leinster should cover this with ease. Perfect conditions in what I'm seeing. Perfect conditions in Newport for that game. Afternoon kickoff, Sherbets. I can't see Dragons keeping tempo with Leinster. Like the Bulls. I mean, the Bulls had very good plays and they got pumped by 28, 29. Jeez, this seems very low.
I can see Conductor getting excited about that one, and the guys in the live chat just making the point that it is also a new pitch that's been laid there. So. What might have been previously an awkward pitch to play on sounds like it's going to be pretty good. So, yeah, it's certainly hard to back against Leinster after what I saw of them last week. Let's move on, though, gents, to the Bunnings NPC. Plenty of rugby to talk about. We've got 4 games that I can see priced up here. I don't know if there's any more, but we'll start with Brendan on that. Friday morning, we've got Northland against Waikato. Got a handicap here of Northland plus 17.5. Brendan, and a points line of 54.5.
Yeah, Brent, I'm not going to get too involved in this game. What's worked well for me before Northland is taking Northland points over when it was 13.5. I can't remember. I think they're playing Taranaki, and they literally landed on 14, so I was very lucky with that. This week I was going to look at the points over, but at 17.5. I know that Chris will probably like the overs, but for me, no Scott Gregory, no Robinson, but Renner Ranger is back, and so is Jordan Olsen at Tucker. And those are 2 really, really key guys. It's Renner Rangers' 100th game for the Tanifa. Good conditions in Whangarei. I probably butchered that as well. Whangarei tomorrow night, tomorrow morning rather for us. I like Louis or Brady 82's bet over 1.5 tries from Northland. That should get some meat pie. Waikato's defense against Tasman was absolutely like the flipping Trump wall there. Nobody was getting through. But I think they might just ease off a touch against Northland. It might be a little bit more open as a game.
Right. Yeah, just to confirm the point line there, 54.5. Chris, have you looked at this game?
Yeah. As Conductor said, we had a few chats. Yeah, I'm very keen on Northland for this game. At the over 17.5, I mentioned the tries. I think for me, it's the same. If you want to take over 1.5 tries, all the points, you're gonna get close anyway. If they convert those tries, you're gonna be close to that points anyway. So pick your poison. I think Northland at home. I think Waikato. It's been a high scoring fixture in previous games before. I think the ball's gonna be thrown around there tomorrow morning. So I'm expecting points, and I just one of those bets. I just feel that really feel comfortable that Northland are going to get over 20 points tomorrow.
Right, let's stay with you, Chris, for the next game. Bay of Plenty against Wellington. This is early hours of Saturday morning, South African time. We've got a very tight game here. Bay of Plenty on the bookie I'm looking at the moment, shading favoritism minus half a point.
Yeah, this is only the two games that I've been looking at, and I'll be favouring Bay of Plenty as well, probably again on the extended handicap. But I like Bay of Plenty at home. I really do. They play well. Wellington, they're not firing like they have been previously, from what I can see and tell. So I'm happy to be supporting Bay of Plenty, picking Bay of Plenty tomorrow. I think it's on Saturday, whenever it is. But yeah, I like Bay of Plenty, and so I'll be looking around again points when that comes out, or extended plus handicaps. Yeah.
Now, conductor, I know that you guys were strong on Bay of Plenty last week, and I must say I didn't punt it all on Sunday. How did they go last week? I didn't actually. Because it was the last leg of an ACCA, but I was so far out the ACCA by that point. I didn't even look at the result. What happened? Any joy?
Yeah, I call that like Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder, and I didn't see anything coming in that game. Wow, Joe Necky were absolutely demonic. Yes, their defense was ridiculously good. Bay of Plenty were very, very bad in that game. Heaps of injuries after that game as well. There was, I think, at one point they had to bring guys back on, and then they had to start questioning. You've got a lot of injuries when they have to actually delve into the rule book to now question if they can actually bring guys back on, and in what conditions they can bring guys back on. So Bay of Plenty had lots of injuries. Chase Tia looks like he needs to do more chasing on the treadmill and less chasing on McDonald's truck. Jeez, you looked unfit in that game. So I don't know. I haven't seen. I've tried. The thing is, I don't understand New Zealand media. They're such a rugby mad country, yet they publish so little on their social media about what's actually happening. I mean, there's literally nothing on social media in terms of Wellington injuries. I wanted to see who's coming back from Wellington Lions, because if they do get a couple of guys back, I'll be on the Lions this game. For me, they got a far stronger squad, and I know that BOP do have quite a few injuries. But I'd probably also go for a big open game here, depending on the line. Both teams like to throw the ball around. Wellingtons don't have a defense. They'd rather just attack. So there's a lot of question marks in terms of the squad for Wellington, who's going to play. Once again, you can't even get refereeing appointments for the guys. You don't know who's actually the ref. You don't want to take it if it's the famous unders ref who's escaped my mind now. But you don't want to take it if there's a big unders ref there, etc. But I expect points to flow there, and I'll probably take Lions there to push. But then again, if Ruben Love is at 15, I probably won't touch it.
Right, well, the weather's good. Brady's saying go overs there. We'll stick with you for the next one. Conductor Manawatu against Otago. This game also early hours of Saturday morning South African time, 4:35. And here we got another tight one, man. Manawatu shading favoritism here at minus half a point.
Brent, it's very funny. I don't understand Supersports. So Supersports show the 4:30 game, 4:30 a.m., but then they don't show the 6:30 a.m. game. So they assume there's more people waking up at 4:30 to watch the game than the 6:30 a.m. But nevertheless, Manawatu have been informed. Hey, they dispatched. I come with the past pictures. They dispatched Northland last week into the wind. I was very lucky with that bet. I managed to get on to Northland in the second half with a win plus. They dispatched, I think, Counties the game before. Then the game before that, I think it was no loss to Canterbury the game before that. So playing really good rugby. Aaron Smith at 9. They look good, eh? Otago, I think Brady is on the chat. He mentioned that Jonah Nareki might be back for Otago, which is huge for them. I mean, he's the absolute talisman. So choice game, I'd be leaning towards Manawatu. Then again, question marks. It's like squeezing blood from a stone with regards to information. I don't know if the crowds will be back for the Turbos, and I don't know which players are back for Otago as well. But at this point in time, I'd probably be leaning towards the Turbos. They just seem to have such good momentum on this side.
Manawatu on the overs there, Brady suggesting it could be a good thing. And it looks like he's got a bit of information on the team news there as well. Chris, anything there for you?
No, these are two teams that I don't get involved. They've cost me money before, and they can play that game out. And I'll probably watch because I quite like watching Otago.
What time in the morning will it be for you? About 3 in the morning there? So you're an hour behind us?
You guys?
Are we the same time?
Yeah. Well, for another month, yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. Well, let's move on to the final NPC Bunnings game. Chris, with you, Tasman up against Southland, minus 22.5 Tasman. One thing I know about NPC, Southland are playing, there's a big plus.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they are always big underdogs, no matter who they play, it seems.
And
so
again,
minus 22.5.
No, and again, Tasman, I've backed Tasman already this year, and they've let me down. Another game, Southland could be a game that could be anything again. So very happy with the first two fixtures, Northland and Bay of Plenty. That's my focus on NPC this weekend.
Right, and Brendan, yourself to wrap us up on NPC.
Brent, I'm saying out of this game, Southland could make it massively ugly. You're just going to be you're just going to be swearing the entire time, and I'm gonna get more letters from our homeowners association regarding the noise complaints if I put money on this game, because I can just see tearing hair out, Tasman bushing opportunities, and Southland love to make it dirty and like ugly and negative, and yeah, I'd rather say Tasman was so poor against Waikato, so this is a no bet for me.
Right, well, let's go on into the Gallagher Premiership. We're nearing the point of the show where we'll do the best bets. Reminder to subscribe to our best bet newsletter down below. Right, let's start with Friday night. We've got the Bristol Bears against Bath. And Brendan, I'm going to start with you. We've got a minus 9.5 Bristol Bears handicap here and a points line of 48.5. Before you come into it, I've been following the results in the Premiership. There's been some real upsets. Sides that we thought would run away with things which haven't. I don't know. I've looked at this one, and I must say that I would normally be all over the Bears, but I'm not sure that I can back them with confidence at the moment. Minus 9.5.
No, Brent, I think are you 100% correct? It has been, and I think a couple of the coaches, I think Pat Lam specifically called and said this would be a season of upsets, because I think the big difference is with crowds back. It lifts the guys tremendously when they get momentum. Suddenly, those weaker teams at home don't get rolled over. Hey, they score one or two tries, the crowd gets behind them, and they get their tails up and get a bit of gunpowder in the old firing chamber there. So it's a tough one. I would have bitten your arm off for this line a couple of years ago or a year ago, but Bristol missing guys like Max Malins badly. Randra can't. I think he's back next week. He can't be back quick enough. So I saw the stats. I think with Randra, they win 75% of the games. Without him, they win 50% of the games. It might not exactly be those numbers, but it's quite significant. The lift that he gives them, the power in the midfield. I far prefer Henry Purdy at 11 for Bristol Bears. That'll be far better. But I think UK Rugby Bets, Alex, he grabbed a great bet under 55.5. I do see this being tight. I think Bristol will defend. And similarly, Bath team are an unders team as well. I think this might be unders. I'm even tempted. I think on 49.5, I'm even tempted to go on that, even though it is Bristol. And Bristol to me are synonymous with good open running rugby. But I think Pat Lam will take a win in any way it comes, and I think it's going to be ugly tomorrow night.
Right, interesting that, because when I saw the points line, I was thinking, it's just based on Bristol apart, but I'm just not sure that this is the Bristol team apart. Or at the moment. I
think they've scored 17 points in the last two games, Brent. So they're just lacking that really conviction to get over the line, and they were incredibly put a loss. There was probably the poorest Bears performance I've seen against Wasps in a long time last week.
Right, Gareth just coming in, making the point. Bath averaged 25 points away last season, which I guess if you're looking at that and looking at the total points line, it would certainly suggest that Bath have got a strong chance on the handicap. Chris, anything for you in the Friday night Premiership?
Well, when the first came out, this would have been me all on the overs for this game the last 2 years for sure. And as the weeks progressed, and I've looked at it more and more, and as we've seen it, and the lines moved, I started going into the unders camp. Again, I think I'm not sure the weather's going to be great tomorrow as well. It's a derby. Both teams aren't firing. Both have lost, so both need a win. Both don't have their weapons, I would say. I think the 9, 10, 12 channels for both teams, or maybe Bristol's a bit better, but Bath's, I don't think, get them going enough. So where are the points going to come? I'm not sure. I think you're right. It could turn into a brutal, hard derby, and the unders will be the way to go. And I actually quite like the Bath on the +9 quite a lot. Probably one of my stronger fancies for the weekend, and probably avoid the points line, because if Bristol fire, it could open up a little bit, and that could bring it over. But so I would back Bath to keep themselves in this game, no matter what they need, because they will want to, because they're going to be just as fired up as Bristol. So, and it's a derby, and for all those reasons, I think that +9 is pretty good.
All right, +9.5 Bath there for Chris. Chris, will stay with you. Northampton Saints against London Irish. Here we got the home team, the Saints, -8.5.
Yeah, well, I thought to myself, I said to myself all off season, that Saints were going to have a good season, and I've done nothing about it, and they've come out the blocks firing, and I've lost out, and they took me out of my big treble last weekend, so I was kicking myself all Saturday. And when this came out, I like, again, I'm hoping for good weather, because I want to take Saints on the points. Irish are such a great team and nuggety, but they're going to give you points all day, and Saints are now putting their phases together and scoring points, and I think they'll be too hot to handle for Irish in general. So I'm hoping for a 28-ish points line. I don't know what it'll be. If it's around there, 26, 27, 28, I will be jumping all over that. Again, I also want to see the pitches from the ground. If the weather is going to be dodgy, I'm not going to be so confident, but that was one of my better bets of the weekend if conditions go to plan there.
There can't be many sports that you bet on where weather plays such a crucial role as rugby. And when Manchester United are playing Chelsea, no one really cares if it's raining or if it's windy. You know what I mean? It doesn't really influence your betting decision that much. But when there's rain in a rugby game or wind, it makes such a big difference. Let's see, Brendan, what do you fancy in this one?
Yeah, Brent, I was also on the same page as Chris there in terms of Northampton starts like a house on fire. I was very critical of Chris Boyd probably 1 or 2 seasons ago, and I really thought he was average, and he really didn't really know what he was doing, but he's somehow got the guys to click, and his Jano Gastos looks like he's playing well for Saints, and they really, I mean, to beat Exeter and Sandy Park, even though it's a depleted Exeter side, that's still a feat to be done, eh? So I would have joined Chris on the points, but I think there's 10 mils of rain to become during the game, so I'll when the pictures go across live, I'll join in and see what's going to go, what I'm going to do. But I won't take anything pre-game on that. For me, the handicap as well is a bit high. If it is going to be such bad conditions.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring you in then on the next game, conductor. Newcastle Falcons up against Wasps, and here we got a tight one. We got the home team, the Falcons, +2.5 point favourites. If I'm not mistaken, they had a nice win last week.
They did. Alex called it absolutely brilliantly. What it was against Bath, eh? Yeah, he called it. Like, what a great call there. I mean, that was absolutely bloody good value for the Falcons. Wasps impressed me last week. They really did. I'm gonna be edging towards Wasps in this instance. I know Falcons are good at home. They are nuggety and very physical and things like that. But I just maybe think I could be proven wrong. I think Wasps might have a bit of a second wind here or fresh beginning. You go still with Lee Blackett and things like that, but I think they've maybe put their previous woes behind them. That looked really good against Bristol. But there again, I just don't know if it's a case of Bristol being horrendous and Wasps and Saracens being good. And I'm just trying to figure this out, and this will play into the hands of our next game, which is Tigers Saracens. I just don't know if Bristol are bad. That it shows that Saracens and Wasps are good, or that's where I'm at now. I'm trying to think, were Wasps good or Bristol really were average? But to me, Wasps, they're still missing quite a few guys like Joe Launchbury. He's quite key, but they should have enough here to get the job done, I think.
Right, yeah, interesting one. That I must say, I didn't get to see Wasps play last week, so I haven't really formed an opinion on them. But always a side I've enjoyed watching over the years. Chris, your view on this one?
Yeah, I'm on the exact same sentiments there as well. Newcastle have started well. They're a great game last week, but it's Bath. I'm not reading too much into that, and I just think Wasps. I'm going to give Wasps the benefit of the doubt that they should be a superior team and do the job over Newcastle. I don't know about how much, but I don't think they'll lose that game.
All right, Chris. So that takes us into the next game, which Brendan's already touched on. We'll get his opinion on it in a few seconds. Leicester up against the Saracens, and here we got Leicester, who have impressed me so far this season. They're 12-10 at home, or +1.5 points against Saracens, who are edging favouritism here.
Yeah. Because Saracens, what they did to Bristol, which all surprised us. And then, people have called Leicester playing as well as they are this season. They've certainly worked on what they weren't doing well last season. They've come out as well in the house on fire look so good. They, for me, are the form team of the first 2 weeks. But Saracens, I'm sorry, are Saracens. They are still a champion side, and they proved that against Bristol. But then again, Bristol showed us maybe they're not the side we think they are. So like I said, the form lines have thrown everything up going.
Looks like Chris might have frozen there. So Brendan, I'm going to go on to you there. Your opinion on the Saracens game?
I think Chris is back there, Brent.
Are you back, Chris?
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah.
Sorry, I muted you in case you came back.
Yeah, no.
But I don't know if you realized you froze there. So just finish that one off for us.
Yeah, I just saying, in terms of rugby, it's such a fascinating matchup because of the form that Leicester's showing, what Saracens did do to Bristol, and we can't be writing off Saracens at all. So it's a tough game for me. On pure rugby terms, I want to back Leicester, but I can't go against Saracens, and I won't be. I need to see Leicester beat Saracens tomorrow before I know if it's the real deal for now. So I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed in Saracens. I'm going to wait to get closer to the game to pick a bet out of that game if I do.
Let's see if the conductor's prepared to put his head on the block for this one. What are you going, conductor?
Yeah, Brent, I think what Brady is saying is 100% correct. So it depends what line they're going to come out at. If we can get 50.5, I'll bite your arm off. If we can get 50.5, what you do is you take the leash, put it onto the dog, take the unders, and go take the dog for a walk for 2.5 hours. Because there's no ways it'll go above 50.5. There's like torrential rain in Leicester for Saturday afternoon. There's like 10 mils, predicted. And with Saracens slow poison, they just indicated that against Bristol. Hey, they said that box kick, suffocate, and wait for them to make a mistake, and they take advantage. So I predict a very low scoring game there in Leicester. So if we can get maybe 46.5, I'll even take unders there. But that would be my main preference. I was initially looking at Tigers, but with a weather forecast, this will suit me, in my opinion, Saracens to a T. They love that slow, methodic box kick, pressure, defend kind of style. Look, I've been super impressed with Leicester. I think that Ben Young's George Ford combo has been really, really good. Freddie Stewart at 15 to me is one of my favorite fullbacks at the moment. Harry Potter last week was casting spells when he was scoring he scored an absolute stunner at Harry Potter last week. So no, they've really got some really good players, playing for them at Leicester. So looking at Liebenberg, to me, he's a constant performer. So I would have liked to have tipped Leicester here, but the weather conditions throw a massive spanner in the works.
Right, so we'll wait for the points line on that one. Sticking with you, conductor, penultimate game of the weekend, penultimate game of the show. The Worcester Warriors, Thoughts on Sports was on them and gave us our best bet 2 weeks ago. They're at home to Gloucester, and here we got Worcester minus 2.5 point favourites.
Brent, I like Worcester here at home. I think Brady said they might have Rory Sutherland, the Scottish international prop, back for them. Duan van der Merwe should be back next week for them. But it just seems like they also started with a bit of a renewed vigor this season. I was quite impressed with them. I think their game last week, I can't remember who they played. I just can't remember. But they played well last week. And I think back at home in front of their fans, the fans make a massive difference. And I saw the Warriors guys on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook were just getting trying to get the fans G'd up and trying to get the whole spirit of the club back. And Willie Hines, I hope he's not. I haven't seen injury reports. He made a massive difference to me against London Irish. Quick ball off the base of the ruck. So I'm hoping he plays, and that if he plays, then I like Warriors on the board, as Brady says. Yeah,
I've got to say I followed that game on Twitter, that Worcester Warriors game against London Irish, and I was very impressed with even the Twitter feed of the home team there. It was nice, kept you up to date nicely. So yeah, I can quite see myself backing Worcester again. Chris, anything on this for you?
Yeah, I'll happily back Warriors at home against Gloucester this weekend for sure. I agree with the boys there.
Right, so they're minus 2.5 point favourites. Brady also suggesting backing them on the board. Let me have a quick look. I got see what other price some of the other.
If it was a dry game, I would probably be on the points there as well. If it was a dry game, but it's not going to be, right? I've heard the word Armageddon thrown around for Saturday, so let's see what it is.
It's going to be a rough one. Well, Chris, you can start us off on the last game of the weekend. Then we got Sale up against the Exeter Chiefs, and here we got another close game. Exeter Chiefs shading favouritism at minus 1.5.
Well, it actually probably brings me into probably my best bet as well. Actually, is this game. I'm going to double down on Exeter. I'm going to back them to come back. I think AJ McGinty out for Sale is huge. Sale have proven they don't hang on to the game. They're up against Bath, wanted to threw it away against Irish. I don't think Exeter is going to allow them to do that this time around. I like Exeter. That's a slow margin. I think Exeter are going to do the job.
Right, and Brendan, what do you think of that one? Final game of the weekend. You're coming in strong.
Yeah, Brent, it's a tough one. You wouldn't be sitting on the stage thinking that both Bristol haven't won a game yet and Exeter hasn't won a game yet. But look at the guys they're missing. I mean, particularly Exeter, they're missing absolutely heaps of guys. I mean, and not just sort of fringe players. They're missing a guy like Sam Simmons, who's a try scoring record in the Premiership. I mean, he's just phenomenal for them. Dave Ewers, he's just this absolute bruiser, maybe behemoth monster that absolutely he suits the Exeter style to a T. I think they're still missing Sam Skinner, Johnny Gray. Some guys to injury, some guys Luke Cowan, Dickey as well. Obviously through the Lions rest period and stuff like that, which is totally moronic. A guy like Sam Simmons hardly played in the Irish tests, the British Irish tests. So why would you want to rest out like that? It just shows that the UK guys have no logic. They're not applying any logic in terms of minutes played and things like that. And that's obviously why guys are trying to say, listen, but he hasn't played many minutes for the Irish Lions. Can we have him back? And to me, it's absolutely dumb. There's a mandated rest period when he hasn't played any tests for the British Irish Lions. But in any case, to me, this is a massive unders game. Exeter will be desperate to win this game. Sale at home, like Chris says, no AJ McGinty. He is the shining light for them. Rob Dupree, it's not amazing. So I do feel this would be unders. Once again, depending on the line, and I am in the Exeter camp as well. I think they'll be G'd up. They should have beaten Saints. They were 14-0 up, and it looks like they were cruising, and just sort of let the game sort of roll on a bit. It's just maybe a bit lackadaisical in the execution. So it's going to be a very tough game in Manchester. This I'm lining up for also that first half, second half bets. Depending on the wind, I see there's high winds in Manchester on Sunday afternoon. So I'll line up the same bets that I am for the Bulls. Who's ever got that win that first half to get that advantage.
Right, gents, it brings us to the end of, another marathon show here. Probably a little bit shorter than last week. But, I'm sure we've got plenty of winners in amongst that as well. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the show then, the best bets. And we'll start with you at the Crow Tips.
I just said the Exeter one, and I do stand by that. That's one of my top. But because of the weather conditions, we don't have team sheets. It's going to be very difficult to be very, very confident on anything. What I am confident on, there's a lot of games here that I really like that I'm going to carry on my strategy with the doubles. And that's taking Saracens to +7 on points or something like that, Exeter, or like that. I'll be taking Oz down to like 20 points in a double, stuff like this. Those I'm going to be really, really confident on those. But in terms of the games, on the outrights, I think the Glasgow over 24. If you get that, that's great. And the Bath +10 I like. Those are the two standout single bets for the weekend for me.
Excellent. Right, let's see what the conductor's got for us. Got a feeling he's going to struggle to narrow this down. We're going to have a long list.
Shall I rather send you an Excel spreadsheet on this because it might be quicker. No, my best bet for the weekend is Marius van der Westhuizen running for the sheds after that full-time whistle is blown, because I reckon there could be a couple of boos and chants in the crowd after some of those decisions, like a certain famous South African referee did after the Scottish versus Australia game in the World Cup. So he might be darting for the toilet at full time. Second best bet is Leinster on the minus. I really like that. So I know that Dragons are improved, but I just can't see. There's just such quality Leinster, and they play such a high tempo game. And they might not have. They probably have Byrne at 10, and probably not Johnny. But they play, and the pitch is good. It should be good conditions and sunlight in Wales. And I really like Ulster on the minus as well. To me, they also play. I can't remember how many cacks have covered in the last couple of games, but they they do generally tend to cover the cap, and they play a very good high tempo game. There are a couple of guys missing, but that would be my second best bet. So then my third best bet, like I said, probably Bulls. Sorry, Scarlets on the minus. Sorry, apologies, Scarlets on the minus.
Scarlets on the minus against the Lions. Let me ask you then for one. We won't call it a best bet, but your best bet of the Rugby Championship, Brendan. From those two games,
gun to my head. I'm trying to think between. It would either be between Aussie points overs, because I just feel that the RG spirit is now gone. It'd be either RG's overs or unders in the box game, because I just think that box kicking thing will be attritional. I'd rather stick my bucks on the Aussie overs in an afternoon game with guys like Arevi and Tupou. We're hopefully getting some meat pie and also Pattaya as well. To me, the RG spirit just looks absolutely broken. So I'd rather take Aussie points overs.
Yeah.
Right. And Chris, anything for you?
Word
maybe on the Rugby Championship?
Just to add on the Glasgow and I forgot that one I did. The Bath, it will be your Aussie overs for sure, and the Northland overs. Those will be my 4 strongest single bets. But I'm itching for a few. I think there's a few confident doubles I'm going to make out of this weekend's fixtures, especially also with the weather around. It looks like we can get some decent points lines that can go extend in the wet there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'm going to purposely not go in as confident as I did last weekend, because although I managed to make some bucks last weekend, I also had a few games which I got horribly wrong. So looking forward to it. We'll take a big ACCA, double-figure ACCA in the newsletter as well. First of all, just to before I thank my guests for coming on the show, to all the guys who contributed to the live chat, thanks a lot. Always great to have your tips, insights, and a bit of humor as well, of course. One of these days we'll have Oracle Rugby back when he's off his sabbatical. We'll get him in the next run of the Curry Cup or something like that. And then to the guests, Chris, thanks a lot, man. What's the weather like in Poland? Is it Armageddon there this weekend, or is it decent?
No, but September was like November. All of a sudden, winter arrived. It's been quite cold in September, unusually cold. Feels like it's almost close to December. So yeah.
Right, and Brendan, I won't ask you what the weather's like in Pretoria, because you stay about 60 kilometers from me.
It's always a bit nicer than Joburg. Let me put it that way. It's to me, it's paradise. There's few places in the world that have as nicer weather and people as in Pretoria. I mean, I think yours truly, speaks of that, I guess.
I'm sure he does, and quite a lot of good entertainment venues and pubs and that there in Pretoria as well.
Yeah, it's such a good vibe here in Pretoria, man. It's a very chilled situation. It's a lovely little place here.
Excellent, guys. Thanks very much. Big rugby weekend. Good luck to all of you that are punting, and I'm sure the majority of people who are watching the show are doing exactly that. And we'll see you next week, Thursday night, 9 o'clock, for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.